Good morning, everyone. Well, we pretty much got more of the same yesterday as far as the markets go. Take a look. More indecision. I don't, I suspect it's going to be that way today. We'll see what kind of jiggles we get. The options expiration. I don't think it's going to get too far away from the middle. And so now you see it's down a little bit. And we got opposing tails. So there's another message. It tried to go up. It entered the area where we suspected sellers would show up, and they did. On SPX yesterday, I mentioned they'd probably get a bit above 6,900, and they did. And then as it refused, I didn't say refuse, but it could not go higher. You see the spiders here, they began to chop sideways. And the key point was this bar right here, right there. And I said in the room yesterday, I wouldn't short a pattern like that. But what I do know is that a pattern like that, when we apply bar by bar analysis from the point of view that they are displaying what traders are experiencing and what they're thinking, clearly after it went up, they were thinking it'll keep going up. And since the trend was up, into here, even though it was getting up into an area where sellers were going to be, there was no confirmation that it was going to do this. But once it broke above the highs, we know traders are going to buy breakouts. Nothing wrong with that. Well, when it came back down into the consolidation, what are they thinking? Let me get the hell out of this thing and reevaluate if they're long. It doesn't mean they're going to short, but once it breaks below here, well, then it begins to feed on itself and it enters the void. You had this momentum move in the morning. And so then it came all the way back down and a little bounce off of the opening price from yesterday. And so today, prices are down around yesterday's low. You can see where the cursor is on the daily time frame. So gapping down a little bit within the congestion. And this pivot, and that's from yesterday. And so I'm not sure where they are today. But this line right here, you can see these overlapping bars, this congestion area. That'll be the key area, I think, as far as if prices do continue to move down, whether it stalls, here. Let's just see here. Yeah, down at those lows right there. Somewhere in here, I suspect, but look, we look at areas to where we believe buyers or sellers will show up. Clearly, if it was to come all the way down here, uh, in a quick movement, to come all the way down here, you'd have prices short-term extended and they would bounce from there. So I would consider trading that since it's down at major support at the bottom of the trading range. Again, in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, but bottoming tail bar, topping tail bar, coming somewhere into here as we wait for tomorrow's economic news and wherever it does tomorrow. While it might be a meaningful move, it's still options expiration, so it's probably going to get dragged back to the middle. So there's SPX. Let me just double check the numbers. They move around 67. And it moved down a little bit as things moved down. It was at 67.25 earlier, and then the market moved up a little bit. So, give or take. The good thing is, looking at these, the level that the put extreme is at is still way down low. So that communicates that there's still a very bearish view sentiment out there. So this came down a little bit, 10 handles. Okay. And that means that there's somewhat of a floor under the market. That's what that means. Because I look at a pattern like this and I think, is it going down there today? And I think, no, it's not going to go down there today. So I think anything below that day's tail, the 17th, below that, and you can get premium at 67.50, give or take. I think it'd be fine. That would be a big move from there down to there. And I don't believe there's any numbers of significance coming out today. Later in the day, there's pending home sales at 10 o'clock and some gas numbers. And after that, 12 o'clock, there's 30-year mortgage rate, 15-year mortgage rate. Probably not a big deal. So I suspect we're just going to trade between yesterday's high and 6,800, somewhere within here. All right. Let's see if anything else is moving significantly. So again, nothing has changed. Break down below support. You had this greater than 100% retracement, and it bounced, didn't get too far. Where is it at? Near the bottom of yesterday's range. So it's not a gap of great significance. And I guess we're just going to trade between here and here for now. Same story. Yesterday's high, the day before that, the low, the opposing tails. And we'll just see what develops as the day progresses as to whether it can move beyond either of those levels. All right, let's look at IWM, which is just marking time. We have a trading range. Just a trading range going on here. And where is it at? Gapping near yesterday's low. And you look at this on a closing basis. And again, it's just opposing tails, marking time. And pop up, come back. Just not doing much of anything. Squashing option premiums is what's going on here. And then whatever movement is going to happen, it typically happens after the option's expiration. But for now, it's just flip-flopping around, not going anywhere. You can look at the diamonds. Same story. Nothing of difference going on there. Gapping down to yesterday's low, bottoming tails, a little bit of topping tail. Boring. Intraday still okay. Let's take a peek at the VIX. Not much going on there. Let's look at some of the futures contracts. Silver looks like it's shaping up a little bit. We've got a 180. It looked like it was coming down here. So this is certainly by no means any kind of a quality head and shoulders bottom, but it's beginning to take on that look. For now, let's see if it can clear these highs right here. See if they can move up. It's still going to be within a trading range. Let's see. A little bit of bigger view intraday. Yeah. So you can see the bottom, the deeper retracement. We'll see if it can get going. Keep an eye on that. So back and forth, back and forth. Is it going to be making a higher low? Again, it's a 180. It's not a quality one, but just marking time here. Yeah. Bitcoin, last I looked, wasn't doing anything. There's nothing to do, unfortunately. It looks like this is going to go down and test that tail. It certainly looks like that could be in the cards. There's a pivot low there. And, here's a pattern where it had a setup to move higher, and it couldn't do that. So I suspect it's going to go down here and test that area, but I have no pattern to do anything right now. I know Ethereum's going to look the same, so why not even look? Crude oil, there is a meaningful move, and it's about Iran and what might happen there or not. Just a lot of junk going on. Um, um, Software, right? It's beaten down. It's holding. There's no topping tail. Now, there isn't a pattern that is, big wide range bars, no failure bars, no correction bars, so to speak, but it's showing relative strength. So that communicates it's being accumulated, and there's a belief that it's going to go up. You mentioned yesterday, NVIDIA is going to report earnings next week. So that might be what many are waiting for. Let's see if I have that here. I think I do. And that is in a trading range, just bouncing back and forth. So it's in the middle of the range. It is gapping down this morning. But when does it go up? Well, we'll all know that at the same time. I forget who did it, but someone gave it a buy, and there's been talk about this. So it's just been flip-flopping back and forth. And over here, similar to the S&Ps, it came down, near major support. And so now it's closer to the top of the range where sellers have been. And so we apply what I call the factory work, right? Meaning how you put together the concepts that we reviewed in MT Live yesterday: support, resistance, trend, retracements, how prices retrace. So this went up in a powerful way. It's at resistance. It's still sloppy, but if it starts to chop around near the top of the range, that communicates that demand is strong, and they're anticipating that it's going to clear these highs. Right now, it's still indecision. Not much happening there. Um, Microsoft didn't do much of anything yesterday, just a little narrow range bar. So while it's retesting the low, and here there was, a wide range bar ending after this gap down and continuation, I want to see a wide range gap down reversal. It's not gapping down. It's not doing anything. Maybe it sells off and forms a bottoming tail bar. That would be very convincing. Range expansion, bottoming tail bar. So just nothing happening there. Meta isn't in an area of support. If I saw a pattern like this in a gap fill, I'd be interested, but that's not doing anything. I have no interest there. Right. That's the story, Patrick, that, they're all spending too much money on AI, and do they run out of cash? Are they borrowing money? Those that are borrowing, the ones that have the cash are probably sitting back saying, hey, let them borrow. And when they blow up, they'll take their assets. So, kind of, you go back to history and think about whether it was railroads or cars and so on. Some of these companies are going to evaporate. They're just not going to make it. All right. Interest rates got extended, bouncing a little bit. You can see where they're at. So just a technical little move up off of the lows there. Did we look? We did look at the Russell. No, we didn't. Well, those are mid caps. So as much as we see messes, we see pretty constructive charts out there in individual stocks. And so here's the mid caps index that we don't review too often, but look at the nice uptrend that's in. And for the moment, the depth of retracement into that big nasty bar from Thursday is positive. So it's not a setup, a pattern there that we would trade, but just looking at the trend in comparison to some of these others that are a big mess, it looks really good. All right. And just looking around, other things, it's just more of the same. Tech, uh, nice move up. The home builders are doing well. That home builders? That's materials, I think. This thing doesn't mark it off what they are, but anyway, uh, that's a nice uptrend. Um, retailing, just a lot of messy charts out there. So it is what it is, as we say. It makes it more difficult to find opportunities where prices are trending in a really strong way. At some point, that's going to change. Financials broke down. Where are they here this morning? Gapping down under yesterday's low. And semiconductors. So, yeah, I think we're in for more of the same. And I think we'll see what tomorrow's economic numbers are. And then from there, once the cuffs are off, so to speak, of the options expiration, we will get the potential for a more meaningful move next week. And KRE, which was looking great, that got a rejection. That was a buy setup right there. And it's gapping down a little bit like everything else is. And you can just see, looking at there's the S&Ps. So that's it from me. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. But at least you didn't say turn your computer off and see you tomorrow.
Well, sometimes I just talking. None of us are going anywhere because we don't want to miss all the fun, whatever that might be.
We always find things that are outperforming. Harder than others, of course. Yeah, so you mentioned silver. I'm watching that too. Look at palladium. I have an alarm up here at 158. But it doesn't have weekly options, but it has massive premium. Now, way down here, the 130s have juice. I mentioned, well, I saw something in the journal about uranium, possible shortage. So I looked at this thing. It's a sloppy retest pattern. That's not a void that we would trade, but I like the weakling. So we should, when we slow down, we should scan this sector, see if we can find some individual stocks. Alarms. I don't have any alarms go off. This Galaxy got a little breakout yesterday. And, all right, no alarms. Let's go right to earnings. And I deleted a bunch already. Thomas, yeah, the gap was too big for me. Well, here's a few leftover things. IONQ. We have a put spread on this, and Greg, I've talked to you about that Microsoft W bottom, and there's been a lot of climbos and then bounces. And I remember it was last Friday, or we started getting out of, or Thursday, we started getting out of them, and now we're watching a lot of potential double bottoms. We've traded some, and some, the big thing is you need a potent reversal. We don't have that here yet. We do have so you got to ask yourself, when you say potent reversal, which bar or bars are you confident that it's not going down anymore? And the answer is going to differ on every single pattern. It could be a one bar, it's a potent bar, gap reversal, bottoming tail, etc. In this case, was today Thursday? I would want it to take out Monday's high before I was confident of entering this. As Greg said, Microsoft, same. I wouldn't touch this thing unless it got over the high of these two little bars, which I guess it's Friday's high, but I got an alarm there too. I'm watching a lot of those patterns. Let's go to earnings. Look at these first. Atro, we're in this. We're in this, and you can add over yesterday's high. Now it's a 1, 2, 3. It's a quality one. Why is it quality? Well, because it's a closing breakout of an inverse head and shoulders with a void. That's fine. Steven. Uh, that's a good question, Stephen. But yeah, we're just trading the pattern. I really didn't look at the Bitcoin weakness. Um, I mean, we have you, Greg and I have been talking about this in the last few weeks. That I manage my personal trades tighter than proper swing trading, and I'm okay with that. I have less losses and less gains, so I'm just tighter. So there would have been nothing wrong killing that yesterday, and I had an alarm go off, and Alex and I were talking about it. I was like, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with the pattern. The stop is under this Monday's green bar. ADP, that was a climb that we talked about yesterday, but what I like about this for a day trade, amazing 15-minute chart. And it looks like it's opening flattish, which with the market gapping down is relative strength. So this looks like a fantastic day trade over yesterday's high. And obviously I already looked at a put spread, but they were just too spreading. I mean, that when you don't see a lot of volume in the weekly, it is not. It is not because we don't have patterns to sell options on. It's because of the stupid friggin' spreads are asinine. So bots here, I got an alarm up there at 38.60. This is the breakout to all time frames, daily, weekly, monthly. Schwab, I got an alarm up here. That's the put spread idea. All right, now we're going to go to earnings. Oh, somebody mentioned Hal, and what was the other one? Oh, Fig. Yeah, oil strong. It just trades sloppy. I actually had shorted some puts on this little breakout day, and I stopped out 2 days ago. Big as an earnings stock, but the gap's too big. You know what? The reward to risk is horrible. What do you want to do with big? Yeah, I would, if I were in it, I would have sold free market myself. All right, I actually did 4 earnings trades by selling either naked puts or puts. This one, I sold the 20s, and I got 20 cents for them, which to me sounded like a lot. I'm getting 1% of the strike price, and it's $2.60 out of the money, and it expires tomorrow. So I'll manage it and decide whether I just want to. Well, I'll probably bid a penny, just take my money, insurance policy. PAS, that's a constructed pattern. We had a lot of gold and silver stocks reporting earnings, and a lot of them look similar. But this I like. That could be a 30-minute high. They all got creamed and they're rebuilding. eBay, I sold the 72s naked. I got like 80 cents for them. So that's gonna be a beautiful profit. Put that in a window so I can watch it. eBay. right? But in terms of a new, so as a new trade, gap into there. As a new trade, my bias would be on a controlled pullback, sell a 1 DTE put if there's juice. Trox, gapping up, no pattern. Some I forget, some Rodrigo or somebody emailed me asking about CDX. I don't know, it was one of the big oils who was asking me about a buy setup. And I said, yeah, it definitely is a buy setup. But when you get buy setups following, that's not a great Climo because it's a strong grinder. But the point I'm making is see how that accelerated and then had a 180 far from the 20. So that is a buy setup I would never take unless you're just day trading. And the weekly's extended also. Carvana, I sold the 240 puts, $121 lower. Naked, and I got 80 cents for that also. So I'll just wait 5 minutes for the spreads to tighten. And what I will do is buy a higher put strike for the same cheap amount of money, just to lock it in. Now, this was a nice W bottom. Didn't come down fluid, I get it. But remember, I started my talk today about when are you confident about a potent reversal on a W bottom? Here's exhibit A. That's a beautiful, beautiful. I am confident. I got a bear sandwich on support. I had green, bearish engulfing, 180 reversal, closing 4-bar breakout. On an hourly, that's going to be a decisive breakout. So that brings us to right now, and it's gapping up way up here. So what do you want me to do with it? Nothing. Unless you get a controlled pullback, that's rude. Ample, I sold the $6 puts on this also for 20 cents. So it's opening down a few pennies. So I'm 99% confident I should be able to, close that at a penny unless it crashes at the market open. Herbalife, that's a bullish gap, a little excessive for me, but it's worth watching. Pullback. Tap. Let's see, that is a great example of a bad buy setup because of the way it came down violently in two ugly red bars all the way down to the support level. It's gapping here. I have no idea what this thing's going to do. We'll come back to it. EIX. Opening up $1. Call spread, 30-minute low, call spread. RTX. Yeah. Yeah, it's top of the range. I'd like it to go sideways more, but sector's doing well. So this is a deep retracement and a downtrend and a buy setup following that. I have an alarm at 1275 on that one. NTR, sloppy buy setup, up and down, no interest. Tango Sierra. All right, look at this. All right, so Tango Sierra, 10-minute low, call spread 1 DTE would be my bias on that. So if somebody wants to watch that, here, look at deer I have over here. I'm not getting to all these. Just because it's a bullish gap, bullish trend, cat and deer have been on fire, but it's a big gap. Maybe 30-minute low, 1 DTE here. Look at EPAM bottom right. I have this just in the category of excessive gap. Let's see where and if the buyers want to step up. But just let it trade for a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna put Tango Sierra here because I will not be in a rush to do that one. Okay, so this one gapping under this consolidation. So that would be a 1 DTE call spread under 10-minute low. I like that one. Let me check the 290 calls for any juice. Hey, Gurn, Steven, Gurn, up alarm. Hit my $2 alarm. All right, but I have a very important question to ask you. Are you still in yours? 290s, 0 by 205. So that's what I'm talking about, these friggin' asinine spreads. 0. I want to sell a 290 call for tomorrow. Well, guess what? There's only one option market that consolidates quotes, and it's 0 by 205. So nothing I can do about it. There's nowhere else to buy and sell options. All right, let's move stop 30-minute low now. It's a little arbitrary, but it has earnings in a couple days, and look how far it is from the 20 now. So it's getting short-term extended. ALMQ, we had a put spread, and that's we covered half yesterday, so the back half is I'm stopping out at a profit. Let's see, we had our stop was yesterday's low on 31. Ooh, that got spready. IONQ, bad boy. Good thing we only have 2 open positions in the weekly because we had some excellent outs in the strength. Also, this riot. We cut half. We took our profits. Stop is yesterday's low. That one has not hit yet. A Galaxy low alarm. So he's on probation now. That's if it closes like that. That's either a breakout failure or false start. Might rebuild over time, but we have a big stop, 1917. I gave it a stop even under this little red bar. So it has a big stop. But he is on probation, bar by bar analysis. You do not want to see a topping tail after a wide range breakout from consolidation. T2 alarm. This again would be a fantastic put spread, but stupid spreads. But I'll check it. Let me check for next week. Next week would be the 190s or lower. 35 cents by 240. See what I mean? It just gets irritating after 30 years. The problem with EQT, Stephen, it is a bullish closing breakout. Problem is you don't have a good void. HYMC. See if you can get 1 or 2 inside bars, and then I like it. eBay is filling the gap, but I'm still gonna have a huge profit. Why? Because of volatility crush. Wow, I did a 5 lot of that. I was confident. And to close it, it's 1 penny by 14. Yeah, look at oh no, Tango Sierra. That was a call spread I do. All right, I sold these for 80 cents. And I'm gonna bid 3 pennies to get out. Just as a all right, I'm out. Three pennies. So I'm done with eBay. Thank you very much. Choose all 4 horsemen just made new lows. So I'm in no hurry. I'm looking at the weekly. Is that too high of a TF? What is a TF? It's still at the top of the range. No, it's not too high of a time frame. No, we look at multiple time frames for alignment and void. And it's the same answer. You don't have a big void. All right. Well, my little CBE is rocking. Carvana. All right, so I only did a 1 lot of this monster. Wow, there's still juice. It's 15 by 25, $95 lower. That's crazy. Wow, can't believe there's juice for tomorrow. Unless, you know what, sometimes when there's high juice, it means that they might be having a conference call this morning. So that is a little bit of risk. Right. Because in my opinion, it should be 0 by 5 cents for $95 lower, or maybe 5 cents by 15.